And I think the part where I'm mostly interested in is, if someone wants to use my data, then pay me for it, right? And quite an interesting space.
So Jess, I'll have to share a white paper that I wrote literally along those lines. I'm a really, really big believer that the data I create belongs to me. And that transaction could be monetized the way that you say, or at least it has to be authorized. I want to know that every iteration that my data is being transacted on or shared, distributed, is that I'm the owner of that, and I'm at least seeing the value for it. So the value can be monetary, or the value can be enhanced benefit. And we are moving into this world where consumers and individuals are understanding the data that they've created and the value that is created for third parties.
Welcome to the Scrums.com FinTech Arena. This is the ultimate podcast for FinTech leaders who are eager to stay at the forefront of industry trends. In each 30-minute episode, we're going to engage with prominent figures from well-established FinTech companies and really to uncover a little about their strategies for innovation, for growth, and navigating the challenges in this fast-paced FinTech landscape. From discussing groundbreaking advancements in digital banking to exploring the impact of AI, blockchain, and beyond. You'll hopefully gain some insights into their perspectives and, most importantly, some actionable advice that can help you grow your business. And today, joining me, we have Chris Ball, who's a dynamic entrepreneur and co-founder of Finch Technologies. He's based out of Cape Town, South Africa, and he's dedicated over 10 years of his life to revolutionizing the fintech industry. As the co-founder of Finch Technologies, he's also played a crucial role in establishing the leading consumer data marketplace, providing data and insights to over 70 different financial service providers to help empower better financial decision-making. He's now turning his focus to his ventures full-time, really aiming to concentrate on scaling their impact in the industry. And beyond fintech, he's also a passionate food enthusiast, blending his love for innovation and culinary exploration. Excited to have you on board, Chris. Welcome to the FinTech Arena.
Awesome, Chase. Yeah, really good to be put into this arena. Let's spar a little bit, yeah.
Awesome, man. So Chris, you've been in the fintech game, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, for over 10 years, right? You've been involved in lending solutions to consumers, lending solutions to businesses. You yourself have invested in a number of other businesses, also within the fintech space. Quite a lot's happened over the last 10 years, but I'm interested to understand what really sparked your passion to start off and enter the fintech center.
Maybe it's a little bit of an embarrassing story to start off with, but out of university, I was applying for jobs, and one of the kind of fields that I wanted to get into was investment banking. After about 3 psychometrics tests, with one bank in particular, I think there was a coming to moment where both the bank and I realized that psychometrically there wasn't a fit. And during that journey, I was applying for work elsewhere. One of the places was with Rocket Internet, which is the world's largest startup incubator. And within 2 weeks, they offered me a job. And a week later, we were launching South Africa's first peer-to-peer lending network. There was something about that environment that just invigorated me, just how fast it moved, how quick people were able to make decisions. And then when I was in the business, it was similar, the ability to iterate quickly, make decisions, be the champion of your own destiny, and really kind of get cracking. And it was in here that, I first learned about fintech really and financial technology, learning from Germany and some of the best kind of places around the world about how to implement technology in South Africa. And yeah, it was invigorating and steadfast. And during this time, obviously learned my passion for technology and early stage businesses, as one does. We were iterating kind of business plans with then my kind of co-founder Mike back then, and the first thing we started off, actually in partnership with Scrums back then, was a grocery delivery business, where in St. Francis, Hermanus, and Plettenberg Bay, the kind of high net worth holiday destinations, we delivered groceries, and that was, me and Mike driving out to the Woolworths and doing the packing and picking and then delivery. And the thing wiped its face, and we thought we found something that we could latch onto. Came back to Johannesburg and did a nice product marketing thing, and I'm just kind of getting boiler rooms of people discussing this product. And there you are sitting on the other side of the glass, and this beautiful idea that you had is being absolutely hacked apart. And the kind of big learning piece there, and this was 10 years ago, so tech has just kind of proved it wrong. But back then the kind of insight that we got was the market that you'll be serving is probably going to be top side 1.5 million people. Those 1.5 million people are extremely geographically dispersed. So serving physical products through kind of the distributed technology, was that really the best use of technology, where your market is only 1.5 million people and they're geographically dispersed in a way that you still need to service them physically. But your acquisition channel is digital and can be distributed through everyone. And it was really there that, Mike and I had the coming to moments of, what are the scalable industries in South Africa? It is still, and was then, food and finance. And basically it was like, cool, well, how do we service that market so where we don't have to go deliver physical goods? And then it's like, okay, we're going to be doing finance. And that was the coming to moment. It's like, cool, we want to get into digital finance in South Africa. How do we do it in the cheapest, easiest way to solve our product, or to find product market fits and get into the industry? And that's where Finch Technologies and our first brand, FinTech, was born. And that's how we got into it, and that's how we hacked around to get there.
Amazing, man. It's I love hearing the stories of how people have progressed, from startup all the way to well-established businesses. And it's interesting that, Checkers is, you brought them up. Checkers is absolutely smashing it now. I don't know if you saw their jet skis to ice lollies on the boats, but crazy how innovation can take you places. For the listeners out there, Chris, what does Finch Technologies actually do?
Yeah, so we are a data marketplace, and essentially we built out APIs that allow fintech, telcos, insurers to access consumer data at scale. And that sounds like lots of words, so let me try explain it like I tell my mum. Lenders, telcos, insurers, essentially they require certain bits of information to make a decision on your propensity to pay, your ability to pay, and also whether there's fraud within the potential transaction as well. And to do so, they require information that is linked to your ID. So, is Chase a South African? Does he have a registered base in terms of home affairs? What is his bank account number? And then what are the transactions within his bank account, and that we can look and do those match that are on a bureau, and do they match the account number that he's put down together? So we're able to extract and pass all of that information and return that back to the telco or lender, so they can use that information to make the decision. Is this person earning enough to take out the contract on their iPhone? And do they have failing debit orders on their profile? And do they have other products on there? So one of the more interesting pieces that we're coming across now is people using our data to understand not only the affordability and propensity, but also looking at opportunities within that data. Is the individual transacting with funeral insurance? Is that something that we can sell to them? Is that individual looking to use other bits of stuff so that we can then sell them the best suited life insurance product? And that's really where the benefit of this deep data that we've got and the deep data analytics that we're doing helps our customer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, there's also sort of an education side on the other side of that, right? So if I've applied I've taken out a personal loan with XYZ, I can also understand what's best for me as a consumer, right? To do with that loan, pay it off quicker, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So, when we initially went into this industry, the reason that we kind of entered was there was a misallocation of capital to product, and people were getting eaten up by payday loans and machinistas in a South African context. So although it's not the core to our business or the biggest revenue generator in what we do, we still have an ambition to try find people the best products and also educate them on what's possible. So education all the way from good borrowing practices, good finance practices, understanding your credit score, understanding your banking transaction data, and trying to help an individual really understand that the data that they create has an impact on their future finances going forward. So, the decisions that you're making now really do impact your opportunity to finance and success at a later point. So when I talk about that, it's, understanding what an impact of defaulting on this contract might look like, or in your payments, on your kind of your accounts, is understanding what gambling history looks like to a lender or an insurer as well. So that's also insights that we provide. It's not core to the business that we do, but it is something that, we see providing benefits to the broader South African public.
Amazing. Thanks, Chris. I want to take us, you've been in the game for quite some time. Moving forward, I recently read an article about how passionate you were about the future of open banking. Maybe give us a high level on what open banking is, and then why are you so excited about it? Because it seems like it's going to be a big part of the fintech sector in South Africa.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, a lot of what Finch Technologies does is precursor to what open banking should be. So the extracting of banking and transactional data from PDF scans, as well as the online portals of these banks, is the precursor to open banking. And that's part of what we're really excited about, is the data and the ability for institutions to be able to use this data to make decisions. And that in turn should really drive the inclusion in and around finance. So when we talk about benefit of open banking, it is spoken about in terms of financial inclusion. So let me jump into what open banking is. Open banking is a protocol that's been worked through starting in Europe, moved to the US, moved all around the world, and slowly coming to South Africa. And it is the protocol of engagement between bank and non-bank participants about access to data of the bank, as well as payments around it. So when I speak about open banking, I focus on currently only the data piece. So it is the engagement between the consumer, the bank, as well as the individual about, allowing me to share my banking transactions with a third party. And that's what I talk about when I speak about open banking. And where we really see it coming in is the ability for innovation at the fringes. So banks in South Africa have done a great job for financial inclusion, and also in terms of setting up great financial products. When we talk about South Africa, we talk about one of the best banking ecosystems in the world. But where the real benefit is going to be is the innovation around the fringes. So at the moment, a good example has been and will continue to be lending to the less visible kind of basis. So the first iteration that first one that we can really digest of that was the lending to the taxi industry. So when lending to the taxi industry really started, how it was found just through a niche little book. So this was a segment of the market that was underbanked, and they were having to find finance from other sectors that weren't available. And we then saw Transaction Capital through SA Taxi really scale that up. And I know they've gone through kind of tough times recently, but during the run up to that, they created this huge financing platform that wasn't visible and wasn't serviced by the banking industry. And we see similar kind of opportunities in this financing space that aren't serviced by the banks providing some of that data. We believe that we'll find innovation and breathe innovation into these alternative financing schemes.
Amazing. And Chris, it's, as you're talking about that and broadening the pool or the availability of being able to access that data, something that's come to mind is digital identities, right? Talking about understanding how myself, Chase, or you, Chris, are transacting, or all of the detail that you guys are already pulling in from a FinTech perspective. And while you focused on B2B type business, there is of course some benefits on the consumer side around the service that you're providing. With open banking being a part of this discussion, how do you think digital identity is going to come about within the South African landscape? Is that on the roadmap for Finch Technologies? How big a part do you think that is? And I think the part where I'm mostly interested in is, if someone wants to use my data, then pay me for it, right? And quite an interesting space.
And for Tess, I'll have to share a white paper that I wrote literally along those lines. And I'm a really, really big believer that the data I create belongs to me. And that transaction could be monetized the way that you say, or at least it has to be authorized. And I want to know that every iteration that my data is being transacted on or shared, distributed, is that I'm the owner of that, and I'm at least seeing the value for it. So the value can be monetary, or the value can be enhanced benefits. And we are moving into this world where consumers and individuals are understanding the data that they've created and the value that is created for third parties. We've gone through the iterations of essentially the Googles and the Facebooks who have been part of kind of the Web 2 drive, and Web 2 has been, businesses that have essentially monetized and mined our data. And I think we slowly, as consumers, understanding the value that we've created and knowing that we've been on the short straw of this. And I think we'll slowly move to a world where we will see the benefit more than just being, shown Cocker Spaniels on an Instagram profile. And we'll actually understand better the value that we've created and better the value that we enhance. So from our perspective, where we want to take it, and we want to be integral in terms of this market, is we want to be able to deliver that data in an authorized manner by the individual, so that they are getting value from it that they deem as beneficial. So is that value ease of use? I see it as ease of use. Is that value security? Definitely. Is that value and control? Definitely as well. And that's the way that we see open banking and our platforms going. And it's really exciting to see that some of the banks are heading in this direction too.
Awesome, Chris. A lot of the conversation has been revolved around looking at the data, and, with millions and millions of transactions happening hourly, across the globe within the South African context as well. The emergence of AI is sort of creating a space where computing this data is almost becoming easier, right? Or at least more efficient. What do you see as the next steps for AI in the sort of financial space?
I'm going to take two steps back before we kind of take steps forward in it. When we first went into, the data piece, my assumption was back then that machine learning is becoming democratized. You're able to spin up machine learning models relatively easily. And my view was, let's give clean, concise, tagged data to our clients to allow them to build out their own models so that they can start making decisions. This is probably one of the points where I've been proven wrong, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. Don't get me down about that one. But time and time again, we have customers saying, "Oh, guys, great! You've indicated that the person earns this much, that they spend this much, and that they're defaulting on these loans. Why don't you give us a score?" So we've gone down the journey of building out these models, and typically the way that we've looked at it is through machine learning as a first inference, and using machine learning to really understand the profiles of the individuals, matching their propensity to pay and matching their propensity to fraud. And that is all based on large data sets. And whilst AI is now in the corner, I think it's going to be fascinating to see the benefit of AI that goes beyond machine learning. And we are keeping our finger on the pulse as to what it does. At the moment, we're kind of feeling that the cost and speed of AI hasn't quite taken over the benefit of our machine learning models, but we're constantly kind of iterating through that. So an example would be our ability to hit a 95 percentile accuracy on transaction categorization. We're able to do that within under a second for cent. Whereas if we were to use your kind of large language models at the moment, those processes are taking close onto a minute, and it's costing us probably more than we're able to charge for it to make it work. But the beautiful thing about technology, you've seen Moore's law happen. There's lots of dialogue in the moment about AI, and Elon Musk is now just, connected. I think it was like 100,000 units. And is that going to disprove models of scale again? I'm super excited to see it do that. And what that will do is bring processing times down. It'll make it cheaper. It's going to make it smarter. And at a point, there's going to be a great inflection mechanism where our models are going to be outcompeted by a simple AI query. And we're looking forward to that.
Chris, and as we come up to the end of our episode here, quick fire question: What's your favorite book and why?
It always has to go back to Abundance by Peter Diamandis. So Abundance, the thesis of the book is we come from an age of scarcity and we're moving into an age of abundance. And it's an uplifting read. It gives us a view that humans are smart, epic beings that are going to cure the problems that we currently have. And it gives evidence about the ways that we're going about it. So pick it up over December.
Amazing. I haven't read it, so I've just taken a note to do that. And then just before we close things off, Chris, please do share your white paper. I'd like to add it into the bio of this podcast related to that digital identities, owning, etc. But I really enjoyed this episode, Chris. It was great to have you on the Scrums.com FinTech arena. A special thank you to you for sharing your expertise and giving us a deeper understanding of how some of these large topics, right, open banking, digital identities, AI, large language models, etc., are impacting your business and most likely every business on the planet in their day-to-days. So for the listener, don't forget to visit the Finch Technologies website to explore their services and see how they can help enhance your business experience. If you found today's conversation valuable and you want to stay ahead of the trends by subscribing to our podcast, join us next time as we continue to uncover the stories and strategies behind the world's top fintech leaders. Chris, thank you so much, man.
Awesome, Chase. Thanks very much for having me.